For those of you just joining us, I'm just hitting the record on Skype so I can actually record this thing so you guys can actually hear it later if you want to. Trust us, there's nothing wrong with your audio. Alright. And welcome to another episode of the HoriZone Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and joining me is, Happy New Year, first of all, and apparently happy first day of Ohio sports betting for those of you celebrating, and I'm sure there are plenty of you on there. I'm Bob McDonald, and joining me, of course, is my co-host, Matt Dudek.
Not just any day, as you said. Happy New Year, Bob.
Yes, and a Happy New Year to you. And Matt, of course, you can find on Twitter, HoriZone Matt, and you can find us on Twitter as well, at HoriZone RT. You can find us on the web, at HoriZoneRoundtable.com. You can find us on Facebook at HoriZone Roundtable as well. If you're listening to us live on YouTube, you know where we are, at HoriZone Roundtable. And, of course, you can subscribe to us wherever podcasts are found. And by the way, if you are listening to this live on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button because, hey, you know what? I've actually been putting our podcast on, the latest podcast on there. Eventually, I'll get them all on there, but I really don't have that kind of time. And, Matt, we have the whole crew with us today. We have a whole group with us today live. Let's start out with John Parker.
What's up, guys? How's it going today?
All right. Of course, John is at HoriZone John. Of course, then we have Alec Kwait.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's definitely a happy first day of legal sports betting in Ohio. I already have multiple free bets cashed in against the Browns, so let's.
You lucky man! You lucky man.
Welcome to a few years ago, Ohio.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that seems to be an Ohio thing. Welcome to a few years ago for basically everything, but yeah, Alec _Kwait at on Twitter, and of course, then there is Blake Schumaker. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here. Good New Year's morning.
Yeah, right. Morning. It's noon, man.
Oh, morning.
No, it's
for
not.
me.
Morning. It's always
Oh,
morning.
I'm sorry. John is in New Mexico, so technically it's still morning for John. So and Blake is on Twitter at B Schumacher RT. I don't know where you guys are else on social, so you guys blurt it out as you want, as you may will. So but anyway, So, John, we were having a conversation about this week's power rankings, and you're about to. It's a little early to start losing your mind, isn't it?
It should be, but what is this?
It's the Horizon League. That's what it is.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Chaos.
Chaos reigns supreme every time. Does not matter. It is what it is. Welcome to.
I mean, it's early, but John, stop me if you've heard this before. There's a log jam in about the middle of the Horizon League.
right.
There's always it's like every time,
It's up into the
every
top,
year.
though. I mean, okay, take out the last two. Most of the teams in the league are 2-2.
Yeah.
Outside of the two that are going to finish well behind the pack,
Although,
5 of the remaining 9 are 2-2.
yes.
I don't believe in the teams that are better than that all that much. So
One team that is currently does not have a win. Blake, we got to talk about Wright State. What's going on with Wright State? I don't know what's going on with them.
What a great question. I have not been able to watch them in any of the conference plays because the one week that they were playing Youngstown and Robert Morris, I was on vacation, so I was like, not going to watch. I'm just going to look at the score later. But I got to watch the NKU game passively, and it's just, I don't know. I can't pinpoint any specific thing that's going wrong. It just feels like the young bigs are not getting a handle on their layups, and any other like dribble play is not really working for anybody that's not named Amari Davis. So, like, I watched Alex Hubricks get taken away a couple of different times on Thursday or whenever that was. Yeah, it was Thursday. Yeah, it just feels like a mess. And it's not like they're facing the elite of the elite, in my opinion, at least. Robert Morris is really shaped up, but all three of the games that they had were winnable, and they just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I gotta say, for as much hype as we've given the big man factory over at Wright State, they got bullied by Chris Brandon pretty bad.
Oh yeah,
they got bullied pretty bad by him. It was painful to watch.
The trio of Sicily, Noel, and Braun. It just feels like for whatever reason, nothing is clicking. The things they should be doing are just not happening.
Yeah.
Especially on defense.
But the good news is Grant Baselli is having a great year.
Indeed he is.
Indeed he is. You know what?
He chose wisely.
He chose wisely. He did indeed. Sorry, Blake.
On
Yeah.
the bench, kind of doing things.
I'm sorry, Blake, but yeah, he's having a hell of a year. Sorry. But Blake, good news, because we're recording and we're broadcasting obviously on Sunday. Good news, there is hope on the horizon because Wright State plays IUPUI.
Yeah, the worst team. It can't get much worse. And I feel like if
I have
they
something to
at
say about that
minimum
later.
cover, then it's considered a win for me.
I'm sure, yeah.
So
hold off on the
NKU did
power
not
rankings?
cover. Speaking of,
Should I hold off on the power rankings? Just make sure Wright State can handle that one.
You might need to. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I thought you weren't going to do it until after that anyway.
we'll just put
No,
up an emergency bulletin if they end up losing. We'll just
You
put
can
them
always
in
edit the
line.
power ranking. You can always edit them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the beauty of
we'll
WordPress. You can go in and edit stuff all the time.
We'll just go
I've
with new
never done
information.
that, for the record.
Well,
mean,
I have
outside
because
of-
Wright State in last.
I have
outside
not
of, like a yeah.
I have not to update anything, but because I can't spell to save my life.
yeah.
And I'm the one. And by the way, I'm the one copy editing everybody's stuff too. So just so you know, there everybody listening that if there's a typo or something, it's my fault because I'm a sucky copy editor.
Hey, I took care of you this week on one. That's a rarity for me.
You did. That is true. And by the way, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that, Matt, because we have the because I'm actually firing up our newsletter again. But it's every week I'm gonna do the previews for the week for the conference games there. So yeah, HoriZonRoundtable.com/subscribe. There's a subscribe to newsletters section in there, so you can sign up for the newsletter. So you can read all my musings about what's coming up during the week. So yeah, so that and thank you for that, Matt.
I got you.
So Wright State is an anomaly. Also, I want to say they're an anomaly, Matt, but they're really kind of not. Oakland did very well this weekend. Looked like they finally got back off the schneid. Finally.
It turns out when your star should be first team point guard actually can move on his foot and run, they're a better team. That's shocking. I mean,
You know what was also helpful? You know what was also helpful? Rocket Watts showed up.
Who knew Oakland had Rocket Watts on the bench this whole time? They should have played him, starting in November.
I don't know where that guy. I don't know where that guy's been the whole time. But yeah. I mean, Rocket Watts was here. And then it was a good weekend for Oakland when they absolutely needed a good weekend.
All right, so let me hit on a couple things real quick on it because especially yesterday I was at the game. I missed Thursday's game. Real life got in the way, but I was at yesterday's game. So got to be in the press conference after and got to talk to Rocket for the first time. It was the first time he had a good enough game to be one of the student athletes, so that was nice. And then the other part was Chris Conway, because if Chris Conway is what we saw yesterday against, the strength of the Green Bay is supposed to be their front court. Not saying that that's a whole lot, but like Chris Conway looked like a Horizon League player yesterday. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So if he does that, that's cool. Rocket Watts took advantage of bad guard play and, showed up and, everyone's happy about that. Jalen Moore is Jalen Moore. Like, cool. Like, Oakland looked like kind of what they're supposed to be. Trey Townsend had a bad game. It happens. Like, cool. Like, have some foul trouble. What are you going to do? But the biggest thing from yesterday, there was two parts. One, asking about, like, the health. Can't be talking about the health. Lauren Bowman's still recovering. It sounds like he called him a reclamation project. So keep that in mind. And then it was funny when talking about Jalen Moore, he said he's 100%. He's milking it. He's fine. Like, it was funny to hear him say those things. Last thing from Greg Campy yesterday, though, he apologized to Green Bay about the end of that game. He felt awful, and I saw him right after the game. He looked at me and just shook his head as he went by to go do his radio or TV interview, like right after the game.
Yes.
He was not happy about the end of that game.
Yeah.
At all.
You know what? I understand. So
he's an old school dude. But he said they needed 80 points for free Buddy's Pizza, and if you're not from Michigan, you haven't had Buddy's Pizza, you're wrong. It's some of the best. It was rated one of the top 50 pizza places in the world just last week. And so at 80 points, you get free Buddy's Pizza, and they were at 79 with 8 seconds. He let him throw the alley-oop dunk. That was fine enough because he chose to kind of go against the unwritten rules of basketball for pizza for the fans. But then O.C. Price, like, hot dogging and tripping, hitting the tackle like that. He took a bad situation and made it worse. Like, oh, come on, man. Not now.
Like, that's talk about adding insult to injury to a team that doesn't really need either.
I don't know if you could
literally.
As soon as it happened, Campy was out of the coach's box, like, as they hadn't even shot the text yet, and he was apologizing to Will Ryan, who was just shaking his head like, I mean, who knew? Will Ryan is a coach, or at least enough of a coach to know that probably shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but I mean, that's I don't know what to tell you on that one, but the good win though, they did have a good win. I mean,
beat Milwaukee, that was a good win.
Milwaukee was a good win, especially when you looked at Milwaukee going to Callahan Hall and beating Detroit Mercy. They almost coughed that game up too, by the way. That tends to happen when Antoine's going off for 30 every time you play him. Probably would have been helpful if Gerald Liddell had been there, because he wasn't that game. Which is weird, because he's been like a double-double machine the entire time.
Yeah. 5-5 after double-doubles every game so far since he's been active for Detroit.
You know what I think was wrong in that game? Because he switched up his hairdo.
We're going with the right state logic.
I'm going with the right state logic on this one. Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be rough for him.
Yeah.
There was confusion in the Oakland media room because we were talking about that game, waiting on everybody yesterday. They were like, "Wait, is that EJ Liddell from like Ohio?" No, Gerald. We had to walk through that whole process too.
Do I have to be? Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only person who confused Gerald with EJ, because I've had to delete at least 2 or 3 tweets just saying EJ instead of Gerald, like an idiot. I'm glad I'm not the only person who does that. By the way,
more difficult to deal with.
Milwaukee split the weekend. They did not look very good against Oakland. Apparently, however, somebody took umbrage with the officiating during that game. Guys, you lost by 20. You lost by 20.
You lost by 20.
You can't really say anything when you lose by 20. And the funny part is, the next game against Detroit, Detroit Mercy, which they won. I think I had fans. I think I actually had a fan quote tweet one of our tweets talking about the officiating against Detroit Mercy. So make up your mind. One game Milwaukee isn't happy about the officiating. The next game, Detroit Mercy fans are not happy with the officiating against Milwaukee. Okay. Make it make sense. Well, welcome to the Horizon League, folks. Come on. We have had conversations about Horizon League officiating since the beginning of time, since I was in, for 25 years. It's not a new thing, folks. And believe me, you hate it now, you'll love it later. Don't worry about it. Just let it ride out.
I don't mind the bad officiating. It's just it needs to be consistent. Like if you're gonna call a game where you let it be like you can let it be chippy. Like even yesterday, the Green Bay Oakland game was just kind of poorly called from a wasn't consistent standpoint. Like that's all I ask for. I don't care how you want to call it, but just do it the same.
Yeah.
You know what? I've long given up on trying to figure out the consistency of officiating in the Horizon. I gave up on that a long time ago. My thought process is the following: my thought process is, if you want to, don't let the refs decide your game. Play good enough to win.
Nothing
That's
in
it.
the Horizon League is consistent. Why should the officiating be?
That's true. Exactly. They're just like They're just like the play.
Just like us.
Exactly. Like, there's no consistency. Why would there be any consistency? Because we're not consistent we're not consistent playing. Why should we be consistent with officiating? We're not that. Come on.
Youngstown's been pretty consistent.
So Youngstown really has been, yes. When except for against Purdue Fort Wayne, but yeah, I mean, you knew that one was gonna be kind of a knockdown, drag out that game. You knew that one was gonna go down. You knew that one was gonna kind of go down the wire between Youngstown State and Purdue Fort Wayne, because those are two teams that are, the two of the top teams in the league. I mean, that's kind of Robert Morris lost by Purdue Fort Wayne notwithstanding. We'll talk a little bit about that later in a moment. But yeah, that was kind of the game. I know it's a little early, and again, I know it's a little early for Purdue Fort Wayne to have a must-win game, but they had to win that game. Purdue Fort Wayne had to win that game. And
the one thing I'll say about that is that their schedule gets a lot more favorable in the next couple of weeks. So now they're actually in a real. It's a must-win in that now they're in a really good spot to me.
Yeah.
They're not, 3 games out of first 4 games into the conference play. It's 2, and then they have Green Bay and IUPUI next weekend, plus Milwaukee. It is at home, so you'd expect to get at least 2, probably 3, is my take on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Purdue Fort Wayne, you're probably gunning to get all 3, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a great, it's great. I mean, it's one of those things where you're just sitting there. It's just one of those things that it's one of those things where Purdue Fort Wayne has been, kind of gotten caught off guard a couple of times. But no, I mean, not to take away anything from Robert Morris. Like I said, we'll talk about them a little later on because they've been playing very well lately. And you got to remember too, going into that game, Youngstown State and Purdue Fort Wayne, surprisingly enough, were the two top net ranked teams in the conference. So I mean, it went exactly as I expected it to go. For most of the game, Purdue Fort Wayne came out on top, and I have the sneaky suspicion that Purdue Fort Wayne and Youngstown State are going to switch places in the net at some point, or maybe not this week, but probably in the future. It depending, obviously.
I mean, yeah, I could see it, definitely. Purdue Fort Wayne lately has been playing, as well as you can play while being 2-2 in the conference, I guess.
That is true. They're the best.
Who else?
You mean other than Youngstown State, who is also now 2-2, and Detroit Mercy is 2-2.
I think Oakland's 2-2.
And Oakland's 2-2. And Milwaukee's 3-1, sorry.
Hey, settle down.
Yeah, so.
But I mean, 3-1 with wins over IUPU and Green Bay doesn't really feel very 3-1.
But and again they all but they did keep Gerald Liddell from being a double machine.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
To me, yesterday was Milwaukee's best performance in league play. They, in their first 2 games, they covered, but I don't know. They won by, I mean, in one of them, I think the spread was like 6. They won by 14, and you're still like, they didn't look that great. I wish it would have been 25-30. No, but I think yesterday was a fantastic win. I think, you get a road win against a team that has been very good at home. Great win.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
Charlotte couldn't do it. They're still sitting pretty.
And they're gonna need a little bit more coming forward. But that's exactly what that's Milwaukee kind of going into the season. you kind of thought that this might be where they were going. I mean, they were playing Green Bay. That they did play Green Bay early on. They didn't play IUPUI early on. You got to kind of chalk those up to wins. I think non-conference wide, I think they outperformed what I expected from them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
And they split this week. They split this weekend between Detroit Mercy and Oakland. And Oakland,
which is definitely what I expected.
Yeah.
I
did not. I actually did not expect that. I actually expected that they were gonna have some troubles both at Oakland and at Detroit Mercy.
It's funny. I think given the kind of uncertainty around Moore's health, I thought that it would actually be flipped.
Yeah, that's not what happened.
No, not at all.
So, but yeah, let's talk. Yeah, let's talk. While we're back on Detroit Mercy. I really didn't think they were. I really thought that Callahan was like their fortress, but apparently Milwaukee's proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Oops. So, but at least Antoine's still doing very well. But he can't do it on as we have seen year in and year out. Antoine cannot do it on his own.
No,
I thought for sure that he had that complimentary number 2 in Gerald Liddell, but Milwaukee neutralized him.
It's one game.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it just wasn't there yesterday.
No. I mean, come on, man. The guy came out of the blocks hot. So I mean, he was due for a bum game. You know, give him a pass. Where was everybody else?
Doing the mid-season all-league stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if he had played every game and was putting up 18 and 15, he's in contention for first team.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though he's the second guy on his team. So I mean, yeah, it was probably going to be unsustainable.
Yeah, I mean, but he'll probably bounce back and do it all over again next game. No, really. I mean, he was due for a bad game. Everybody has a bum game once in a while, so I suspect that eventually he'll get back to where he was supposed to go, which is fine. I'm sure he'll be perfectly okay.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think Detroit Mercy needs a little bit more from the other their other players in the rotation, as they always have been. So I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. I want to talk about Robert Morris a little bit. Robert Morris, this is the Robert Morris team I expected to see. I've expected to see for years. I think they're absolutely. This is the group right here.
This is what we expected before the year.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say it
before they joined. I
gotta say the line. Thanks, Horizon Boy, for this, by the way. Hashtag cheeks for weeks.
That was the best.
Cheeks for weeks. So as you all know, Horizon Boy does his prognostications about the conference. Again, especially given this being the first day of legal Ohio sports betting, these are for entertainment purposes only, people.
But he's pretty good at it.
He's really good. He was actually 4-1 on Thursday. So yeah, but yeah, so he always has a hashtag for for each of them. He's got Green Bay BAE, which unfortunately is the one that he missed on. But yeah, the one for Robert Morris he had was hashtag cheeks for weeks. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. It has been Enoch Cheeks for a few weeks now.
He nailed it.
If we are being honest, cheeks for weeks. Because
and beyond cheeks, it's really been what we started to say. It's been what we have kind of expected from RMU. We knew that. I mean, for most teams, there's a couple-year transition getting into the Horizon thing. It was a step up from the NEC, but we knew Andy Toole was a very good coach.
Absolutely.
So it's taken him a couple of years, but we're starting to see what we have really expected from RMU all along now.
Yeah. And I mean, it's obviously been, getting that consistency. What's been kind of a nice little bonus, I'd almost argue, Purdue Fort Wayne is kind of what we expected RMU to be. So if we can get both of them actually firing on all cylinders, that'd be fantastic for the league.
Finally, yes,
That sounds
absolutely.
like a logjam in the middle to me.
Ah,
Again,
no.
yes, again.
I think RMU, from what I saw yesterday against Cleveland State, they're still a point guard away from being towards the top part of the league, but they still got some pieces. I mean, they just had a tough time moving the ball against Cleveland State's pressure defense, especially in that first half.
I mean, if we're being honest, they were going to have. Yeah, that was a. That was a defensive clinic by Cleveland State on Saturday. I mean,
I think say who needs a point guard, but I know what trip Milwaukee has next week, so I'm not going to do it.
No, don't.
We're going to find out who needs a point guard.
Just say no. Just say no. Yeah. So I'm glad you. Yeah. So I really thought the to your point, Alec. I thought and John did. I really thought the answer at the point I thought was going to be Michael Green III, but it's not. He's not even in the starting rotation right now. He's on the bench. He's coming off the bench. So it's like, I mean, I don't know what I don't really. It seems like Andy Toole is trying to get he's trying to get something out of trying to get Enoch Cheeks to be able to do. Because he was the one who was effectively running point against Purdue Fort Wayne. He got 6 assists on a single turnover. So it's but after a certain point in time, they're going to start gunning for him, as was the case against Cleveland State on Saturday, where you're going to have to find another option at the point, and well, that's how they're going to keep running into problems.
Yeah, and Deshaun Parker was just playing bully ball there for most of that game. He was
we gotta have
probably played all year.
So yeah, I mean, so let's talk about it. So let's transition over to Cleveland State. Once again, I'm very glad that Dennis Gates left the defense at Cleveland State. Glad he left it at Cleveland State. Kind of wish he'd had kept at least one of the other guys. I wish one of the other guys would have stayed because, Missouri has only lost one game this year. They beat Kentucky, and did I mention I missed Dennis Gates? And apparently he was having fun with Red Panda too. So it's like,
yeah, that's
it hurts my, I'm sad that he's gone, but I'm happy that it happened.
He's living his best life.
He really is.
Honestly, I think you guys might have connected two times in a row.
Yeah,
Robinson can coach.
I think we're gonna be all right. Yeah, Cleveland State's gonna be all right. Because that defense is just swarming. It doesn't work all the time, as it did not work against Youngstown State. When the shots weren't falling, they had a real problem. And against Robert Morris, it didn't matter because they just, it was just basically, and they were hitting them with everybody. I think 12 guys played in the game for Cleveland State. 12 guys. They were like, Daniel Robinson was like, screw it. I'm just gonna play everybody.
That's gotta be the formula when you play that kind of defense because as we saw in the Youngstown game, they weren't able to keep up there in the second half when the threes started falling for the Penguins. So it's really strengthened numbers for Cleveland State right now, and I really liked what he did against Robert Morris, and I hope we see it again against Milwaukee on Thursday.
What's interesting is that with that group, I think the big concern if you're Cleveland State is the rebounding, because you would think that with Tristan Aruna and Tay Williams and Spider Johnson in the lineup, you would think that they would be getting a lot more rebounds, and they're just not. They got out rebounded. They got out rebounded by Robert Morris. I'm pretty sure they got out rebounded by Youngstown State, which I expected because that was good. Which I think is funny because that's a matchup we've seen before with Adrian Nelson. I think somewhere along the lines that rebounding thing is going to have to be addressed. And And I would also like a little bit more out of Tristan and Aruna. The first part of the game, there were a lot of really easy shots at the basket that I don't understand why didn't go in, which drove me insane. I'm like, please stop. Go in.
He struggles to finish around the basket, but then we see a few flashes of brilliance from him. He's got so much potential. His shot looks good, but it's just about putting it together for him. I mean, he's still one of Cleveland State's best players at this stage in the season, and he's going to be counted on the rest of the season in a major way. But I would like to see him finish a little bit better around the basket. That is something I have noticed as well.
Yeah. Hey, and they're 3-1 in the conference. So, John, guess what? Somebody's not 2-2.
Yep.
They did. Cleveland State did you a solid there. Yeah.
One more team we haven't talked about that. Well, outside of the bottom of the league. One more we talked about that isn't 2-2. But
it's Northern Kentucky. I mean,
it's where the power rankings get real complicated. They are winning ugly.
Yeah, but they are winning nonetheless. But the thing is, I mean, they're winning against teams they're supposed to be winning against. Honestly, I mean,
right.
I mean, they need to win. I mean, and they're winning against a Wright State team we expected to be better. They're winning against a Youngstown State team that is better.
The
Youngstown
State game I kind of talked about when it happened in the following power rankings.
Yeah.
If that's on the road, I don't think they win it, and that's kind of where I think they've had a lot of those types of games where it's a double overtime when they actually had 2 in a row. This weekend that didn't happen, but one of those games was IUPUI, beat them by 13. That's what the middle of the league's doing to IUPUI. The Wright State win obviously blew them out of the water at home. But so many of their wins just feel like, oh man, you pretty much got the edge in that one because you were on your own home court. They're winning, so you got to give them credit for that. They are 4-0 in the league. They have that Youngstown State win. They have a Robert Morris win. Those are nice wins.
Indeed, they are.
It just... Also, they're not really going to do us many favors with the net if they keep winning, by less than they're supposed to. We're going to...
we don't need... I mean, Northern Kentucky is 4-0, but, and by the way, I can't even just complain about Joe Lunardi anymore. It's like everybody's got him projected as a playing game. So step it up, Northern Kentucky. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think given the weight that the net is going to have, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Youngstown are going to be our best shots at not being in the play-in. I've seen Youngstown as high as 14, though. That recent loss probably doesn't help that.
Yeah, probably not, but...
I think if you're purely talking about the, what's best for seeding and other things, if Northern Kentucky wants to keep winning and then losing the tournament, go to the NIT and let one of the teams that can go be a 14-15 seed get the auto bid, maybe not the worst thing in the world.
Possibly.
Do the playing game and take some shares. That's fine too. I don't hate it.
I'll take the play-in game over a regular 16. If there's a shot at like a 14, I'd rather have that. I mean, there's I mean, there was a 15 seed in the Elite Eight last year. There's a snowball's chance that you can get hot and do something.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah, I mean, money's good, but your dignity's kind of is nice, better too.
I'll take money over dignity. Who do I got time for?
No, yeah. By the way, I was correct. I'm gonna probably post this up on Monday too on the Twitter account. But yeah, so Youngstown State was their net was 100. They're down to 117. Purdue Fort Wayne's is now up from 139 to 123.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming. And Cleveland State, it's funny because Cleveland State's at 158. Milwaukee is now at 195. Yeah, Northern Kentucky's is like 222. They're 4-0 in the conference, and their net is like near the bottom. Is in the bottom half. I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I mean they're barely eking out home wins against not so great teams. Well, besides, I would say Youngstown State is a nice home win. Robert Morris in the net's probably not great because they were putrid until that weekend.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like Milwaukee. Yeah, apparently that win. The net thought that win at Callahan for Milwaukee was really good because they jumped up 30 spots, 31 actually, from 226 to 195. Like, okay,
it thought the loss at Oakland was real bad. That's dropped them.
Yeah,
that's something we're gonna have to watch all season though, because Oakland's got that super low net ranking from a really, really tough start to the year. But if they're going to be healthy and play and be in the mix, that's going to wreck this league.
Yeah,
of course it is. Of course it is. Which, yeah, I mean, that's going to be wreck this league. Oh my god! All right, I'm going to go away now. I'm getting too many Johnny Manziel flashbacks. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like
those are your skeletons in your closet.
Speaking of wrecking this league, we need to talk about Green Bay and IUPUI. We got to rip off the Band-Aid here, guys.
Let me talk about Green Bay. I love to talk about Green Bay.
Yes, I know you do. So the loss against Green Bay seems to be going through some things because I guess Brock Hefner was ill against Oakland or something like that.
He's out ill, and Ziegler has a bum knee.
And Davin Ziegler has. Now those are two players you can't afford to lose, especially if you're Green Bay. And the loss of Hefner, especially against Oakland, with Chris Conway playing the way he did that day on Saturday, yeah, you could see that was felt. That was felt really a lot.
You know how, like, I mean, you all watch enough games, and I know Bob doesn't get to in-person games often, but a lot of us get to, watch games, whether, it doesn't matter, even if it's college, pro, whatever. You watch the warm-ups, and you see talent, right? You're like,
yeah,
man, for me, I love being at Oakland shoot-around before early to watch Darius Sherman, who does not get many minutes, but that dude is blown up on the internet in the past for, like, his dunks. You can see the talents there. Like, he probably doesn't fit Campy's system, but, like, you can watch a team warm up and you can see talent. You can see, players that just shoot the lights out, at least in practice, that kind of stuff, right? You watch Green Bay in warm up and you're like, who let Madonna University in today? They just don't have talent. They are a very untalented team. And then watching in game yesterday, they're an untalented team that was poorly coached. Like, that's just the reality of what I saw firsthand yesterday.
And we're in year 3 of this. I think we had to add that little nugget in there that this is year 3 of this, and they were a top team in the league when they let Lake Darner go. He was consistently top 4 every year. Top four that allowed him to get his contract extended every year. Yeah. That was a nice stipulation. That was a nice clause in his contract. It probably got him a better buyout when they actually fired him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got a substantial one. That's a big part of why they're. I mean, part of why the salary that Ryan is making is like $175,000.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to read it, but we do have a Green Bay writer now.
We do, yes. Yeah, Jack Eisenman. He just we dropped his New Year's resolutions for Green Bay this morning. So, check him out.
To read it, but I hope the resolution is press the reset button in the offseason, because that is not it.
I don't see
you
gotta, so, you have to think something behind the scenes is going, because remember, Will Ryan is the AD. Josh Moon was not the one who hired Will Ryan. That was Charles Guthrie, who is now in Akron, who hired Will Ryan and like a year later skedaddled off to Akron. So that's not his guy, and I'm beginning to wonder when that dynamic's going to change.
Well, and I had the chance to.
And I can't
talk
be.
to,
And honestly, I cannot be the only. I cannot be the. I'm not even a Green Bay fan. I can't imagine what Green Bay fan is thinking right now. Except, dear God, what's going on?
I had the chance to talk to Brian Kuklinski, who does the radio for Green Bay before the game for a few minutes, and he said Will Ryan's really confident that he can pretty much recruit what he needs out of Wisconsin. So he's really trying to build. The problem is Will Ryan is struggling in the portal, and that's not Brian saying that. Now this is me talking, and we all know that you can't build a team off of like freshmen, like out of high school kids anymore, because what ends up happening is what we've seen out of Green Bay. Like they get some players that start to get, some good minutes, and then they transfer. Like you need to be able to win the portal. And we've talked so much about that. And Green Bay is losing the portal badly.
I mean, you're not getting, I mean, what did they get out of, I think they only, what did they get out of the portal this year? They got Brock Hefner. That's the only one I can think of that was an actual portal kid, because Ziegler was off out of JUCO, and then everybody else was no. I think I think Jenkins was in the portal, but I think he was a walk on where he was last. I mean that is a major issue for them, and there's such a drop off.
Recruiting to Green Bay, no matter who is the coach, is tough. It's not exactly, Miami. It's not California.
And yet once again, Link Darner didn't have a problem doing that. He was, again, consistently top 4 team in the conference every year. I mean, so you gotta start asking yourself, okay, yeah. I mean, you can make an argument that any one of these Horizon League teams is, you're in a tough market. Any one of these Horizon League teams is in a tough market to recruit. There's no make no mistake about that.
Sure.
But it's just, what do you do with it? What do you do with who you have come in? And I think that is the question right now. And it's just not looking very good in year 3 here. It's just not.
Well, earlier, you were talking about, how Cleveland State might have gotten it right again for the second time in a row somehow, because Robinson's coaching well. You've got Calhoun, you've got your Campy, you've got Andy Toole, Kaufman, wherever you want to be. I feel like the coaching within the Horizon League is so strong, and I still personally believe in Matt Crenshaw. I think he needs more time. He's in year 2, right?
Yes.
He's only in year 2? Yeah. And you can at least see he's bringing some pieces. He's working out of the hole. It might not still work, but you can. I feel like there's some building blocks there. Will Ryan's in year 3, and I feel like every year is getting worse somehow.
So I'm glad you brought up Matt Crenshaw and IUPUI because Crenshaw actually did go the high school route, because his entire he's got 6 actual freshmen on that team. Yeah, and you can actually see. You're not gonna see it this year, obviously, but you see kind of the building blocks of a team that has the potential. You may not see them the whole 4 years they're there. They may end up going to the transfer portal,
and that's going to be the big thing. Is Crenshaw actually mentioned when he was on the podcast with us, that was the way he wanted to go, to get a lot of high school kids, to get everyone's focused on the portal. Everyone's going one way. I got to go a different way to kind of get this ship righted. This is going to be a big offseason for him in my eyes. I
think one of the other things with him too is he didn't just go. He didn't just go with the high school route. He did tap into the portal a little bit. To be fair, obviously the big piece of that portal, the big portal piece, he's been missing this entire time in Bryce Monroe. That team is probably a much better team with Monroe on it, but but we haven't seen him, and I don't know when we're going to see him.
Yeah, it's been very spotty.
And they need some, and IUPUI needs some size. They really do.
I think this is going to be, like I said, a big off season for them. I think Vince Brady's a fantastic piece. I think Jalen Counter is a nice piece.
Yes.
I don't know if the NCAA would give Monroe another year if he can't get on the court consistently. I don't know what's going on with that. But then
they may. I mean, if he's out for an extended period, I would think. I mean, we've seen it already. We've seen it in our own league with Garrett Covington, where he was hurt, and they, if he's hurt to that extent, we may see him. That may,
and that would be big for them if they could keep him around.
I think the Girard twins also. I think they're. Really, I mean, one of them was freshman of the week.
Yeah, so they have some nice pieces.
They need some experience. They just need some experience. And also, the other thing with IUPUI too, they need some shooters because they have no 3-point shooting. It's just not there. And they need ball handlers because their turnovers are just atrocious.
Well, and Monroe would help that a lot.
Oh yeah, exactly. And he may actually help on the 3-point shooting front too. So yeah.
I mean, I watched Matt Crenshaw play in college. Like, if there's someone I would trust to, get a point guard going there,
yes.
Matt Crenshaw.
I mean, he is the all-time IUPUI leader in assists, so he's got to be pulling what's left of his hair out at this point. Like, why is this happening?
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. That's got to be the worst, to be like, man, I could do this. Come on.
So
he's running the point in practice right at this point, right?
He gotta be. You know what? So one last thing before we go, I did notice this because obviously, we've had this issue for a few years running now. We have had as far as I can tell, we have had no players enter the transfer portal mid-season. We have not had it done. This isn't like, I'm not talking about a no-hitter here, okay?
You are.
Look, listen. So this is my thought process. If there was somebody who was going to hit the portal, they would hit it. They would have hit it during the Christmas break. We wouldn't have seen them during the conference schedule. We wouldn't have seen them this weekend. They'd have been gone. All right, that's my thought. That's my take on that.
They're listening. They forgot, and they're going to enter the portal now. You ruined it.
Oh yeah, the portal. I forgot about that.
It's like, thanks, Bob. I was totally on the fence, but you won me over. I'm entering the portal now.
I mean, let's be honest. If it was me,
Mizzou and wants to transfer,
I'd go out of my way to prove Bob wrong.
Of course you would. It'll be like, great. Now I'll have a whole group of fans who hate me. Like, thanks. I mean, not like there isn't a whole group anyway. Whole nother group. I forgot the whole nother group part. Sorry.
What's that, Blake?
The last little shove, just spite.
So yeah, we were egging. Yeah, yes. During the live episode, for 2023 New Year's Day, we absolutely positively we basically were egging players on to enter the portal mid-season. Yeah, that's a great message. Come on. We're trying not to do that here. We want to keep some consistency, damn it. We can't, well, maybe not, because everybody's 2-2 right now. John needs some help on the power rankings, so
if they keep this splitting thing up, we're crowdsourcing it. Like, I'm not... If everyone keeps beating Green Bay and IUPUI and then splitting against everyone else, crowdsourced.
I mean, I can see that, and I really can't. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I don't see IUPUI or Green Bay winning another conference game, or a conference game for that matter. I mean, the only conference game I see either of those two teams winning is against each other. I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, one of the there's an off chance there's going to be a fluky win. Somebody's gonna slip, and why do you think it's gonna be Detroit Mercy?
Texas A&M Commerce and was it Missouri State are both, in that Horizon League level, and they both got clipped. So who knows? That'll make that week's power rankings a lot easier.
Oh, jeez.
Lost to IUPUI or Green Bay. 9.
Oh.
Done. I don't care if it's Northern Kentucky and they're like 8-0 in the league at that point.
You're gonna be nice, yeah. Just so fair warning, Horizon League teams: if you lose to either IUPUI or Green Bay, it will affect you greatly in the power rankings.
I mean, the whole league is so jumbled together.
But isn't that? Why are you so surprised? We do this every single year. There's always a logjam in the middle every year, without fail.
That's at the top.
John, I have a suggestion.
Had, Dennis Gates' Cleveland State teams. We had some of, those Loudon Love Wright State teams. 1 and 2 have typically been settled. This is nonsense. The team I have won this week could be 9 in 2 weeks.
This is true.
More than halfway through the year.
John, I have a suggestion for you. You ready?
What's that?
One of these weeks when everything's just a mess like this, I want a video for the power rankings of you literally drawing names out of a hat. Like do your 1 and 2, do your 10, 11, and then for everything in between, I literally just want to see you draw names out of a hat and post that in the article.
I know one year I did just everyone was tied for last except for I think it was Wright State at the time.
Hold on, I have a better idea. Ready for this one? Ready for this great idea?
Oh yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one because Wright State was first, everybody else was last, and you had it in alphabetical order, and Youngstown State was last, and Youngstown State fans were pissed off at you. I remember that.
John, what if you wrote the names of the teams on 8 dog bones, and you had 8 Fosters grab a bone? And then we can help crowdsource for the dogs too. Like we can bring this together. We can tie it all together.
Yeah, how come we're I mean, if we're how helpful? I mean, I don't know what our target. I don't know what our demographics are in the New Mexico area are. So specifically the Albuquerque metropolitan area. Even though we have one writer who's there and probably going to have another soon.
Hey John, are we hanging out this week?
Sure.
All right.
I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do when you guys are both in New Mexico. Jesus Christ.
I recommend come out to New Mexico, but that's just me.
Live from La Cumbre Brewing, HoriZone Roundtable.
John, are you a red chili or a green chili guy at this point?
I like green better.
Okay. These are the hard-hitting questions on the live episode of HoriZone Roundtable.
Right? Yeah, super relevant.
They're having a discussion because apparently Matt's going down to New Mexico. Are you scoping out houses or something or?
Areas. There's not houses specifically we want. We're not ready to move at this minute, so more areas.
So, by the way, I'm glad we brought this up. I'm gonna need another Oakland writer here pretty soon because the deal is when Matt finally moves to New Mexico, he's gonna go cover IUPUI.
We've needed an Oakland writer for 2 years.
We've needed
someone to fill in.
Yeah, I know who I want. I don't think they got the time though.
Keep trying.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So, all right. So. I think that's gonna wrap it up for us, guys. Another live New Year's episode in the books, and you know what? I think everybody who's listening live on YouTube can actually hear it this year. So, hey, nice. Hooray! So yeah, HoriZonRoundtable.com. Obviously, the power rankings that whatever John comes up with, they'll be up this week. So the conference game previews, be sure to subscribe to the newsletter on that, because that'll be up there, and everybody else is going to be writing everything else. We got new writers, so yeah, more stuff to read. So you can pull us up wherever.
Year,
yeah.
The Horizon League's New Year's resolution, I'm just going to state it for them, is to be consistent. I'm sure it'll happen.
Of course they're going to be consistent. They're going to be consistently 500, Matt. 500.
No.
John. 500. They're consistent.
Inconsistent.
Yep. So.
No.
All right.
Champion's going to be 10 and 8. 10 and 10.
10 and 10.
10 and 10.
And have lost to IUPUI.
All right, so yeah, HoriZonRoundtable.com. You can pull us up wherever podcasts are found. You can pull us up on your Amazon or Google devices. And, of course, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we may end up doing this again at some point. Also, all of all the episodes I'm going to be uploading, because, I mean, all the episodes from here on out, I think I've got 200 on out uploaded. I don't know if I want to do the other 199, because, like I said, that's a lot of work. So, all right, so tune in next week. Until then, thank you all for listening. I had to click 3 things there.